you're going to be changing cameras a lot, which is really nice because it allows you to switch your views quite quickly. So, for example, you're going to be switching from your perspective view to a different camera view all the time. The problem is it's a little slow by default. So, for example, I've got these two panels open. Maybe I want to switch my front camera here to a side camera. So I go to Panels, Orthographic, Side. Okay. Oh, now I have to switch to Top View. Panel, Orthographic, and then Top. If I want to switch between cameras, you have to go through that. Well, a quick way is just right-click on this camera icon right here. Right-click, there's your list of cameras right there. Now I can just very quickly switch between any camera right through here. I can create a new perspective camera right there. So new camera, there you go. All through there. So you don't have to go through all of these menus. That's really handy. I like to switch views quite often. Normally I just have my one camera view and my perspective view, but it's always important to be able to switch around and look at your shot from many angles. What else is very helpful? We've talked about the isolate select quite often. Basically, if you're animating on a shot, I'm going to just do this with simple geometry here just to make it quick. Let's say you've got a bunch of different things in your scene, and this works with characters as well. If you've got a whole bunch of stuff and you're trying to focus on just one thing because you want to improve that, it could be on one character, or it could even be part of a character. Maybe I just want to focus on the arm. Well, all you need to do is select the geometry for that part or for that character. So I'll select, for example, this cube, and then you hit this button right here, or go to Show, Isolate Select, View Selected right here, and it'll just show you that one object. Everything else is hidden. They still exist, they're still there. But now I can just focus on this one object as I'm animating, and I don't have to try and dodge all my geometry and all of this other stuff. If I wanted to focus on the hand and the arm without the rest of the body, I can just select the geometry of the hand, and I can just work on that, get that done, bring everything else back in. I don't use this too often, but when I do have to, it really makes certain things a lot easier. Lucas, 2D pan and zoom. I use this every stream, but for anyone who doesn't know, 2D pan and zoom is a lifesaver, especially when you want to get small details in. So 2D pan and zoom is a tool that'll come in when you want to see details. You want to move into your shot a little bit more. So why is that important compared to just zooming in normally? Well, when you zoom in normally, when you move the camera, technically the technical term is trucking in, but when you move the camera in, the typical issue is that we are working with a perspective camera. And that means that as we move the camera, the perspective will shift. So for example, let's take a look at these cubes here on this left view here. I want to move in, and maybe I want to see a few details right in this center point here. Okay, I'll move my camera in. Well, as I do this, notice how the cubes are changing. So for example, on the left side, we can see the corner of this cube here, but as I zoom in, now we're seeing the corner down here. The perspective is shifting and it's changing our image. This sucks. When you are animating on a face and you want to just like push the silhouette of the mouth or like shape the eyes a little bit, and then you move your camera in, it's going to change what the camera is actually seeing. And when you change that and move back, it's not going to match what you wanted it to. That's really a huge pain. So instead, what we can do is use 2D pan and zoom, which is a tool you can find in the viewport right here. The shortcut for it is the / key, this one. It's the one above the enter. So if I just hold down the / key, I think it's the / the slash key. If I hold that down and then middle mouse drag, you'll notice that my cursor turns into a magnifying glass, And as I zoom in, look at that cube on the left side. See how it stays exactly the same. So I can middle mouse and right click, drag. And what I'm essentially doing is I'm zooming into the view as if it's a 2D image. It is not changing any of the perspective. So I could come in here, go in super close, and now I have like a front row seat to get this perfect adjustment, and then I can zoom back out. So you could really get some fine detail with this. This tool is a lifesaver. This should be part of your day-to-day workflow, is to use the 2D pan and zoom, especially when you get into that refining, polishing phase. So really useful tool. And then to reset, you just tap the slash key, and that'll switch between the 2D zoom. So for example, if I zoom back in here, I can just tap it, it goes back to normal, tap it, zooms in. So really nice tool, highly recommend. So using master controls in baking to create faster action animation blocking is a good one. Yeah, that's also really nice. Can it zoom in on a locked camera? Yes. So a locked camera is only locking, so if I lock this camera here, for example, it's locking its translates and rotates, so I can't move this camera. 2D pan and zoom is not moving the camera, it's just zooming in on a portion of the screen, so it'll still work. Your camera is still locked in position, it's not being adjusted, and there we go. And then I can reset it, and it's all good. It is so useful. This should just, like, that hotkey should be burned into your brain, and then just like ready to go to it at any time.